Hi everyone, welcome to the San Nicolas podcast. This is a channel where we aim to provide relevant information about our school and for the families who are not a part of our community and the ones that are but still have doubts of what we do here on a daily basis. I am Jusileia Oliveira, one of the primary pedagogical leaders, together with Mr. Eagles, who is the head of primary school, as well as Samantha Waller, who is also a primary pedagogical leader and our PYP coordinator. So welcome, Mr. Eagles. Welcome, Ms. Waller.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here and to be able to solve the doubts of our families and future families. The primary years program ranges from grade 1 to grade 5, aged 6, all the way to 11, which if you're more used to the Brazilian terminology, it's Fundamental 1. We welcome early years children from our program as well as other schools. In other words, we welcome children who have completed early years at San Nicolas and Ensino Fundamental at other schools. To get started, I would like to ask Mr. Eagles a question. So could you briefly tell us about this journey? It's starting in grade 1, so the kids come from early years, which is pretty much play-based learning. They investigate through play. Then here with us, all the investigation is done through our inquiry. And then when they finish grade 5, they have an exhibition which they deal with global issues. It's a huge change, right, from early years to primary, and the kids are very different once they finish the PYP program. How does that work?
Yes, thanks, Jusileia. A lot of progress, a lot of growth throughout those PYP years. For us, I think in primary, in grade 1, the exploratory and play-based learning in early years is built on with our inquiry-based approach to the curriculum. So it's still very much a curriculum designed around children's curiosities, children's interests, children's observations, their questioning and their reflections on the real world and the world that they live in. It's still very much learner-centered, so the child is at the center of the curriculum. All decisions regarding curriculum and learning are based around the children in that sense. And we build on what's worked on really strongly in early years, is that sense of each child being unique and each child needing to have a voice, to have choice, and to have ownership over their learning. So that puts the child very much at the center of the learning. I think the learning journey is a very holistic approach to children's development and growth. So yes, we're very invested in them developing their knowledge, but knowledge in a sense that they can apply it in different areas. So a lot of focus on conceptual understandings that helps fix their knowledge and for them to apply their knowledge. And we work a lot with developing attitudes, dispositions, and skills. So it's a holistic approach, as well as our concern with their social emotional development, their physical development, their cognitive development, and their spiritual development. So it's a very rich learning journey with the child at the center, utilizing a lot of that learner agency throughout the process. We're moving towards, you mentioned the exhibition and global issues. All of our learning needs to be authentic and meaningful to generate that intrinsic motivation and engagement from the children. But more than that, we're pursuing, through their learning, developing the concept of international mindedness. So through multilingualism, through making sure that their learning is connected to the real world, locally, nationally, and globally, and that it's exploring opportunities for them to understand themselves and their culture, but also developing intercultural understanding through their units of inquiry. And I think those are many of the key features of that journey that, yes, when they get to the exhibition in grade 5, the learners are really able to leverage those experiences, what they know about themselves, the skills and attitudes they've developed, the knowledge and the conceptual understandings in this final concluding unit of inquiry where the children are pretty much in charge of the curriculum.
Thank you very much. What a lovely overview of the program. Now we're going to go a little more in depth and understand what really the PYP is. I think this is one of the most asked questions by parents. Is that PYP, IB, all of the, like, if you're new in the IB program or the IB at schools, you might not know what that is, but parents usually ask, they want to understand a little more because their personal experience is with Brazilian schools, a slightly different curriculum. We were authorized to be an IB PYP school in 2002, which means we've been doing this for quite a while now, but there is always new enhancements to the program. So Ms. Waller, let's go a little bit in depth into the program. Can you explain a little more what the PYP program is like?
Of course. So the PYP stands for Primary Years Program, which is the primary and early years. It runs from nursery to grade 5 section of the IB, the International Baccalaureate curriculum, which ends with the diploma program. So we work specifically with the PYP, the primary years section of that. And it's worth noting that every IB school is different. What the IB provides for us is a framework. It doesn't provide for us the day-to-day, what should be happening. And so what we do is we take everything Mr. Eagles talked about with the IB framework, and we put that together to create the experience for our learners at St. Nicholas. So the IB is a really holistic program, and it aims to develop internationally minded people who recognize their shared humanity. They recognize that even though they're different from other people, and other people might have different experiences to them, that they share something, that humankind is responsible for the planet. Humankind, we're responsible for each other and supporting each other. And the way we do that is through some really specific learning engagements and through our curriculum as a whole. So we have what we call approaches to learning, which are sometimes known as the skills, which really support learners to be problem solvers, critical thinkers, resilient, develop those real lifelong learning skills. And they do them from the very beginning of the PYP, and that runs beyond the PYP, very similar skills. We also use the learner profile, which looks at what attributes do we want learners to develop. Things such as being open-minded, being caring, being principled. So we really are interested in their holistic development in very concrete ways. We don't just say we want to develop the whole child. We plan specific learning engagements which develop these different skills and attributes in each of them. The PYP give us 6 transdisciplinary themes, big overarching ideas, things like sharing the planet or how the world works, and they're repeated every year throughout the PYP. Throughout primary, they do the same big themes 5 times, once every year. And what that allows us to do is continue to build on the knowledge and the conceptual understandings that they develop. They build on those in increasingly deeper, more abstract ways to take genuine action for themselves now, for their community now, and sometimes for the wider world. We really work with, as Mr. Eagle said, authentic learning in local and global contexts. That's genuinely important to them today and in the future. And so those things together really build our PYP program.
All right, thank you so much. Perfect, Sam. That was a really well-detailed answer. And I was actually thinking about how much of our learning environment supports learning in itself, right? Because we're a very international community, so we have students from all over the world, and this in itself adds so much to our learning and the contributions of our students into the PYP program, right? Thinking about the families that are not part of our community yet, I think the families that are part of our school, they understand that a little bit better. But if you're not here with us, just trying to understand, because I know most of you guys, our listeners, probably have this question in your mind, like, how does that differ to a traditional curriculum? Like, our previous experience, most of us, Brazilians or not, had a very traditional experience at school. And sounds very much like, based on what you guys said, that this is completely different from everything our parents or the past generations went through, right? So thinking a little bit more about our education here and how do we do the PYP program, Mr. Eagles, can you explain a little bit what are the differences between traditional teaching and the experiences learners have at San Nicolas and what future families could experience with us?
Wow. Big question, Gisela, big question. But I think we could simplify it with some looking at some aspects of the learning. I think one of the main ones for me is that we don't have a fixed view of curriculum, that we construct the curriculum together with the learners. It's a collaborative and organic, quite a dynamic process, so that learning is authentic and meaningful, significant and challenging for each learner. When we have a one-sized approach to curriculum, it's very difficult to get that best match fit. So I think that's one significant difference, that it's done with the learners, not done to them. I think it's fair to say as well that maybe a traditional school is less invested in some of the holistic aspects of what we are as a school, right? We genuinely give equal importance to knowledge and conceptual understandings, but as well, like Sam mentioned, the development of those skills in those areas, development of their attitudes towards themselves, towards others, and towards learning, physically and spiritually. We're very much focused on the humanistic, the holistic development of each child.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. I was thinking about like being part of this community for so long. I've been here for a little over 10 years now. And think of the richness of the PYP program, all IB programs. We are an IB continuous school, which we're very lucky to be. And thinking of the values of San Nicolas, which are respect, integrity, belonging, international mindedness, how things are aligned, what we believe as a school, as well as the program promotes. It's just so well aligned, they combine, right? They're like, together we are stronger. And then I was thinking of other IB schools and PYP schools and what makes us very unique as San Nicolas, right? So part of what we have here at San Nicolas that enriches the program in itself is the student council, which students have a voice, a choice, and they have ownership of learning. So they're very much entitled of what they do. We have a huge focus on sports, the importance of belonging. So we have houses. And the life skills that we develop with the kids since the beginning of the PYP program all the way to the DP. So thinking a little bit more about that and the fact that connecting a little bit to my previous question, that we as learners, we didn't have this experience back at school. How do you guys manage to find teachers prepared to teach such a very innovative curriculum? Because when you think of teaching and college degrees for people to become teachers, excuse me, like, it's very ordinary that you teach the way you were taught. But when you have to teach in such a different scenario, in enhancing the knowledge that the kids already bring to a school, so valuing their pre-knowledge, also think of what their own interests and what they want to learn. How do you find teachers that would best fit to this program? Mr. Eagles or Sam, who would like to start?
I don't mind, I can. It's not difficult to find educators that want to work in a different way than a more traditional way. I think many people who work with young children, who work in education, recognize and understand that how it has always been done is not necessarily the way we need to continue working with children. So to find educators looking for a different approach is relatively easy. Finding people who have relevant experience of working in schools that are experienced at working in this way locally is a challenge. We really benefit from our staff retention, many like yourself, like Sam, like myself, many of our educators have been here a long time, often starting off in a teaching assistant position, recently qualified in pedagogy, and they learn about how to be excellent PYP teachers here with us at school. That's 100% the best way that we find educators who can thrive in the context that we've described, which is much more challenging than delivering a curriculum. Mm-hmm. You need to know the children differently, you need to understand them, you need to respect and value them in ways that just make the role more challenging. So for sure, our best source of great PYP teachers is the educators that we develop through their experience here at St. Nicholas. And I think that's proven in our retention and the number of people in significant positions in the school who started with us a number of years ago in the role as the class assistant. So I think that's definitely our richest source of great educators, is the ones that we develop on-site, hands-on, working together with us and the children.
Thank you, Sam. Is there anything you would like to add?
I think it's worth adding that many of our educators who are being really successful in this context embed many of those IB values that we talked about. They are genuinely lifelong learners. Even though many of them have been here more than 10 years, they are not sort of sitting back and saying, oh, well, I did this last year and I'll do the same thing, or I'm already an expert at this. They're genuine inquirers. They're genuinely open-minded to look for new ways, new things that they could try to best meet the needs of their current learners. And I think that's something that sets our educators apart and make them great PYP teachers, because all of those things that we talked about in terms of the learner profile or the approaches to learning are not just something we stick on the wall and tell the children to be. It's something we embody as well, and we are constantly striving towards.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mr. Eagles. I can proudly say that I'm very proud of our staff. They're really qualified, and I also feel like they're open to be also learners, and that's why they're called lead learners, because they learn with the children, they develop the curriculum with them, and they want to see their children changing the world that they want to see in the future, right? We are heading to the end of our conversation. I had so much fun, but before we go, I got 2 questions for you guys. The first one is, which of the school's values do you most identify with? And the second one is, what do you do to prepare each child for their success? Sam.
This is a tricky question because it's hard to just choose one. But I think for me, belonging is incredibly important. If you don't feel a sense of belonging, you don't feel like you're part of a community and that community is there for you and you're an important part of that community, you are not going to learn. And so having our learners come into school every day with big smiles on their faces, some of them running into school because they're so excited about something that will happen in that day, or coming in with their arms full of all sorts of different projects that they're doing, and knowing that it doesn't matter how good at maths they are or how good at football they are, that they have found their place here. Doesn't matter where they're from, what their first language is, they have found their place because they are accepted for who they are and recognized for the uniqueness they bring to our community. Our learners genuinely recognize that we are richer and we are better off because of our diversity, and that everybody is welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Eagles?
I'm going to choose a different value, but probably quite linked to what Sam was sharing. I'm going to choose international mindedness. I think how we work with the development of the curriculum together with children, we are very much focused on the learning being authentic and meaningful, so with a lot of real world connections. engaging the children in thinking more than just locally, right? Thinking locally, thinking nationally, thinking globally, and feeling that they are an integral part of finding solutions to some of the things that they are inquiring into their units. Also developing intercultural understanding. I think our very community brings them into contact, right, with a lot of different ways of being. Different languages, different beliefs, different cultures, different perspectives, just different ways of being. And linking to what Sam said, our children need to be comfortable with diversity. They need to be able to navigate diversity in a way with confidence, with skill, with openness, with respect, and with appreciation. And I think that's what we're pursuing when we talk about international mindedness, right? It's not knowing capitals and flags and songs and wonderful foods and different aspects of culture. It's much, much more than that. And it's developing multilingual children, globally engaged, who are really appreciative and respectful of that sort of intercultural mix. Their cultural understanding, I think, is key to becoming an internationally minded citizen. So, yeah, international mindedness.
Okay. Well, it's hard to add up after you guys had such, added such important information or said such important things, but like thinking a little bit about belonging and international mindedness, I can't stop thinking about respect. I think once you feel like you belong to a place and you understand diversity and respect just comes along with it. So that would be my most important value here at school. Thank you so much, Mr. Eagles, Ms. Waller, for that lovely conversation. I think it will be very helpful for some of the families that are already here with us and are part of our community. But if you're not part of St. Nicholas, please come and join us. It's a lovely and very unique opportunity to study here and to understand a little bit more about the world. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. We'll see you guys in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.